Well, hey, Fungo Banter fans, welcome back to another live episode of your Pacific Northwest Fungo Banter podcast. I am Eric Sorensen. Welcome, Jason and Kelly. Welcome, fellas.
Hey. What's happening?
Hello.
Hey, so welcome back. We have another fun-filled episode for you. I don't know if Calhoun's coming back on it. Is he in the queue still? No. Okay, so for those that watched
You
last
never
time,
know.
we love you. We love you, Jeff. You're out there watching.
Texting him now.
Oh no, here's coming. We are fired up to be back on your hairways. We are brought to you by Safeguard out of the Tri-Cities. You can notice some of the fun new things we're wearing. And if you're going to be in the clinic this weekend at Central Washington University for the Washington State Baseball Coaches Association, we are going to be giving some away. We're going to be selling some. It's going to be fun. And you get your hands on some Fungo Banter gear. So, yeah, Jason's wearing one of them there. Kelly's got the new hat. I got a couple of the hats on I'm wearing, and maybe we'll give away some later. Here with some fun stuff. We are also brought to you by Max BP, the number one training tool on the market. Love that little pitching machine, and go check them out. They are also frost gear and heavy. Kelly, you had experience with the heavy swing bats. You guys loved those, didn't you?
Yep. Worked well.
It was good. Yeah.
Handle loaded. Love the handle loaded.
Okay. Did you?
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
So go check them out, and they're going to be at the clinic as well at the here in Ellensburg. So they'll have a table for us or for you guys to go license, and they are bringing a gift for everybody in attendance. So you got to stop at their table at the clinic and check them out for your free gift. So make sure if you're not coming to the clinic yet, get signed up. It's allstatebaseball.com. And then our last sponsor on here, Top Tier Sports. Go check them out if you're looking for any summer tournaments for your baseball team. I think the basketball tournaments are over with, Kel.
Yes. Check back in.
We'll have to find out. There's some basketball tournaments here in Ellensburg that was going on for those guys too. But all over the Pacific Northwest, looking for some baseball tournaments, go check them out. Big thank you. So, guys, we are on the fly tonight. We had an unfortunate something happen, and we couldn't record our normal episode tonight. So we were like, you know what? We're baseball coaches. We handled verse well. Let's go live. Let's see what our listeners got. We even got a listener question already, but we're going to get to that in just a second. But we're going to talk some baseball. Our listeners that are on right now, send us some questions, topics. We have a few of our own to talk about. And we're going to if you throw a question in the chat, I know on the X and the Twitter and all that stuff and the YouTube, you can, and there should be a little thing in the bottom right to post, comment, ask us a question, and your name will go into a drawing for the some fun stuff tonight. We'll ship it out, some fun gear. So, guys, where do we want to start with this thing? Do you want to go to let's go to the listener question right away.
Let's do it.
Let's just do it. We got Tim Lee chiming in, Coach Lee there, which I remember in the early days, Coach.
The man.
I remember you sending a pretty cool Fungo challenge where you hit a dime piece of a catcher pop-up on video. And it makes me want to go to the field right now. They're snowing outside and try that dime piece pop-up to see what we can do there. So we're gonna check that out here in a little bit. But Coach, who is the coolest logo in college baseball? And listeners, feel free to chime in too.
That's a good one.
What do you got, Jason? What do you got?
Jason?
Man. Oh, man. I'm a kind of a simple, plain kind of guy, like Arkansas, with the A.
Yeah, that's
I like that simple look. I mean, granted,
what about the pig? They got the pig
Eric,
too.
They got the pig.
What about the pig?
I do look kind of like, I know, Eric. I'm a Cougar guy here too, but I do like that UW, that big dub.
And you're gonna, Jason, you're gonna really make someone mad.
Don't do it.
I know.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't
do it.
Oh man, yeah, definitely. The
There's
big
only
O.
one answer.
That's right. Yeah. I know. Right?
What were you saying before that, though?
Yeah, that's what happens when you go live. You can't edit any of this stuff, right?
It's starting off. Love it.
Man. Yeah.
Dude,
that's right, Logan. That is so true. There is only one answer. Yellow and green, right? That's right.
I can't go with that. Sorry, Mr. Mercado.
Oh man.
I just can't go with that one.
Oh,
Gosh, there's some good ones there, man. Arkansas, Oregon, UW. I can't. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Give the Cougs some love. I don't know. Pacific Northwest.
Coastal Carolina. You had that hat on.
That was my guess. That's what
I
the
figured you
shout's
would be.
clear. I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that Coastal Carolina, the teal. I wish I would have went to a school that had that teal and blue color, which was our colors here for the Fungo Banner.
Yeah.
I love, dude, honestly, both. And this is I'm trying to think back to all of our college, watching the college regionals, super regionals, World Series, which is the greatest sports watching events of the year. I mean, if you have
No doubt.
bases loaded, there's
Oh,
not much else to do these weekends. I'm a big Mississippi school, Ole Miss and Mississippi State, probably leaning towards Mississippi State because they're the same colors as my my squad there in Kittitas. And I love the Nebraska, their white uniforms with like the cursive writing.
Yeah.
the Podfather freeze. The Podfather himself, frozen. Touching his logo. Yeah.
There we are.
His
Hey,
logo.
we're back.
There you go. Hey,
Hey,
we're back.
Kelly,
There
what
you
was your? We have another listener, and of course he's picking that orange and black because that's the assortment.
Of course, the orange and black.
Yeah.
We gotta get out of the Northwest. I mean, I know we're Northwest Fungo Banter, but like you gotta spread our wings a little bit. Like
Yeah.
Campbell logo. You can't go wrong with the camels. Like
That is pretty
cannot
legit.
go wrong with the camels.
That's so true.
Probably put my eggs in that basket. Kansas Jayhawk is kind of a fixture.
Mm-hmm.
Wichita State, like their logo, they got a good one.
Yeah.
Historic program, baseball.
Who else?
I mean, the Rice program, Wayne Graham, old school.
Yeah.
It sticks to mind. And you just look at, I just go back to like the old Rosenblatt days. Like, I think when we all like kind of fell in love with college baseball, juice bats, small stadium,
absolutely,
and like just electric. There's going to be 20 bombs a night.
Love it.
And like we were all there for that action.
Yep.
Like really, really cool type environment. So those old programs kind of stick out to me. The Blue Buds back in the day, you know, the LSU Tiger, some of those programs that perennial winners. You know, kind of fell in love with the game.
Yeah, you had the mid shin pants with the stirrups. You know.
Yep.
I love that. You know. Pony black shoes. Those are the days.
Okay. It's a little old there, Jason. Like
your age and your
dating
just
yourself.
showing my age a little bit. I know all those older listeners are like,
here.
oh yeah, everybody who played college baseball wanted or high school wanted a Pony Blacks. The Pony Blacks were legit. So
I like this one. The Dirtbags down at Long Beach State.
Oh yeah. That's solid.
I love that.
What a logo.
I
think they still roll with that too. Like they're the only team I think that rolls with the Dirtbags.
Yeah.
Within Long Beach State. Yeah.
Right.
I'm a big Fullerton for the most part. Their stuff. I kind of like that. What they got going
from
on.
back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I do remember someone.
Anteaters or Irvine.
The Anteaters. Well, didn't one of the coaches make a comment about why would we want to go to the Pac-12? They make you go to Pullman. I took exception to that as a Coug fan. I took a big exception to that one. But yeah, that's okay. Let's piggyback on this a little bit. Your favorite when we watch a college regional game, what do you think's the biggest or the best atmosphere for college playoff baseball?
LSU.
Oh, that's good.
LSU's up there. Ole Miss is up there.
Ole Miss.
Texas A&M.
Texas
A&M's up there. I'll give Oregon State some love. Like Oregon State they're just on top of the field. Their fans on top of the field.
For sure.
Ole Miss was cool.
This is a good answer. LSU. I got when Texas A&M gets on that ball 4 chant, ball 5
Oh, yeah.
chant.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, oh my goodness, you've seen some people completely melt down watching games there.
Oh, yeah.
Some of those Carolina schools that what was is it Eastern Carolina?
Okay. Yeah.
There were some pretty wild days there. I just got to find it. Clemson looks cool. I want to go there. And I know a coach of ours in the association that went to Clemson to a game last year, Mr. Todd Gibson, I believe. Oh, Tennessee. He sent us videos from Tennessee last year at the regional. That was a whole nother level of fandom. And if he's watching, Todd, you need to chime in because that was that trip that he went on. And he's probably mad I'm telling the whole world about this. But yeah, that looked like the coolest atmosphere. I don't know if you can. I'm a farmer. Can I call in sick on one of those weekends and be like, "Hey, and then they probably wouldn't notice I'm not here, and I'd go back there for some baseball games. But that would be awesome.
No.
Let's see. Where should we go
I think
here?
anything down in the South. You know what I mean? It's,
SEC.
Yeah, it's just
less pro sports. That's their pro sport, and
crazy.
I hate to give the South that. I mean, the SEC that much love. They kind of rule the world of college baseball, and now with the streams of money and all that, like give me some parity, give me some old school, give me some Oregon State, like into the the old days. Yeah, even now, I mean, they're kind of doing it as a rogue school, like Cougars making their couple runs, in the regional days. Hopefully we still keep getting parity. I think, what was it last year? The College World Series wasn't it all ACC, SEC last year? Straight up.
Was it?
Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah.
I can still remember the game. How many years ago did UW beat Fullerton to go to the World Series?
Yeah.
Well, that was a fun game to watch when they kept hitting some tanks, right? Who was it, Kelly? That was.
Well, that was Coastal, wasn't it? They beat Coastal. I think Fullerton was a regional.
Was the
Fullerton
regional,
was a
right?
regional. I'm pretty sure Coastal was there. But yeah. I mean, Joe Wainhouse hitting some dingers.
Yeah. That was some tanks. College baseball is the best. I do enjoy. Well, I like watching the Mariners. I don't know how enjoyable it can be at times. But I hopefully things get better. If we have any Mariner people watching, let us know. But there's just nothing like a college baseball game. I know that one of the coolest things about owning ESPN Plus is the fact that we get to, when I come in at lunch, I get to turn on baseball games because the East Coast teams are all playing, right? And all those small schools back there. I absolutely love that. Friday night matchups, the big arms you get to watch throughout the country. It's just so much fun. Arizona State, that was the one I enjoyed when we would go down and play down there during when my first spring break experiences, especially with Big Ben. And when they said, "Hey, we're going to go to ASU game tonight," and I was like, "Yeah, let's go." And it was so cool. They played Troy University. ASU was just hit some massive tanks. I swear they went over the palm trees in the outfield when they were at their stadium that was on campus. And what a cool atmosphere. Kipnis was on the team. Jason Kipnis. Dude, those guys, it's tanks. It was so much. That was my first love to college baseball. I know that Troy, the people in the dugout from Troy started kind of chirping a little bit. And this old timer, right? Like the guys that when you roll into like LC State and they're sitting there watching you take batting practice and they beat you there, guys. When the guy from Troy was kind of popping off, and the old guy, I mean, he was probably 70. "You're from Troy. Nobody knows where that even is."
Yeah.
Shut him up right away. And they kept on going. But yeah, no, that was, I love me some college baseball, man, especially some of the fun things. Are you guys in on the all black pants with like the Vanderbilt pins? Are you guys on that kind of stuff? I know a few other schools do that.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
All right.
It's bad. It's a fad.
Yeah. I saw they got some new silky whites out there.
Everybody loves swag, though.
It's what the kids want.
Oh,
All the different
kids
play.
Let the kids play.
Yeah, that's right.
We have another listener question, and actually, Coach Holman, I was wondering this today because I took my classes as well, and I did ask Mr. Kelly because he's near this facility. the Washington State
yeah.
baseball certifications. It mentioned that the 1B, 2B Final Four is at Fort Steilacoom Park in Lakewood. It also mentions that it'll be molded cleats only. A quick search on maps looks like it's an all dirt infield. That may imply a portable mound. Someone please ease my mind that this is not true. Kelly, you've been there, huh?
Oh,
Yes. Brand new turf field at Fort Steilacoom Park next to Pierce College's campus in Lakewood, Steilacoom. And no, it's a baseball only facility, 60-90 only facility. It's not a multi-use facility. It's college baseball, summer baseball, 60-90 only, with one mound that stays in one spot, with a bad butt hitting facility right next to it, covered. Crow's nest, stands, good parking. It's a massive park. Yeah, it's not. I think the only thing that I would I don't know what their plans are there, but it's not like I don't know how they'll do admission and stuff at that, because it's open. It's an open facility. Anyone can kind of walk into there. So I'm not sure if they'll have to rope it off or put in some temp fencing or something like that. But that would be my only caution on as far as using it for a sanctioned game. But the facility itself is top notch, really top notch. So there's lights. It's great. Big, great spot. It's right around the corner too. I get to watch some state baseball. No pressure on you two. If neither of you were there, then I have to sit at home thinking about potentially having the ability to see my friends.
So what do you email your team now, especially us Eastern Washington people that we play on dirt and grass? Do you email your team now like, hey, just a heads up, if you're going to buy cleats, maybe look at this, or I don't want to jinx it. So what do? You don't want them buying new shoes going into it.
Right. It's a tough one. I mean,
Do you hope your team's watching right now and they hear this little PSA?
Get some moldeds. Yeah, I don't know. I would say a molded cleat is probably going to break in faster than a metal, right? It's going to break in faster. So, yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, you can wear tennis shoes too. You can wear turfs too. I don't know, maybe team turfs as a fallback, and if guys want to wear moldeds, they wear moldeds.
I know. I think most guys are even playing with moldeds now, anyways. So it just seems like it. I don't know, the comfortability, the functionality, almost seems a little bit better than a spike cleat anymore.
Right.
You have more guys are doing it. So
yeah, but you know what the worst thing is? You don't get to sit in the crowd while the team walks through to the next game and hear like click, 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 click.
Yeah,
the greatest sounds in baseball.
Yeah,
come on,
right? No, that's
It
great.
used to be pretty cool doing that. I remember going into the grocery store afterwards in the cleats and like sliding around the alleys, like just ice skates.
Yeah.
I do that all the time growing up. You're so cool too. Like, hey, look how cool I am. I'm metal cleats in a grocery store.
Well, hey, speaking of metal cleats, I got a metal cleat story. So my son, who's now 13, can wear metal cleats in middle school. And so I got him his first metal cleat. He's got the brand new Mike Trouts. Okay. So they showed up the other day. He threw them on his feet, and that's all he did around the house on the tile. Click, 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 click. So he's loving that, Phil. He's like, Dad, this is a great sound. I said, yeah, well, you could do that in the dugout, not in the house.
Sounds like you need a floor guy, Jason.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I remember sitting at
anyone got a floor guy on here?
Yeah.
Give me a call. Give me a text or a DM me on the Twitter.
Man. I remember
that's a weird one for me though, for a state tournament to have to like ask teams to, because what's the breakdown? You guys know this better. Like, what's the Eastern Washington, 1B, 2B, like what percentage of schools are on your guys' side of the state than compared to here? Do you have any idea?
Oh,
I'd
man.
say we have more.
Yeah, we're probably.
I mean, there's a lot of teams in the Southwest League, but we got
Yeah.
the research team on it.
I would say like small schools in general, either side of the state probably don't get the same type of funding to do turf projects, right? Like on their fields. It's probably
Not unless you try space prep.
that's
I
just
was
in
waiting
foul
for it.
territory, though.
I was
I'm not
just
worried
waiting
about that.
for you to throw
It's
that in there.
beautiful though. I love it. It's very comfortable. It makes my feet not hurt when the doubleheader's over.
It is nice. It's clean.
It's just for the coaches. Yeah.
Hey, Eric, your turf's coach's shoes were nice and clean after that doubleheader against Stoughton.
I can only imagine a doubleheader in the summer. That'd be hot.
Yeah, it's quite warm. So throw a little water on it. It works.
Probably melt some molded cleats, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's probably the first time it's happened, right? To where there was a request like that from teams. I mean, they had the old state tournament at Safeco, but obviously they don't have those restrictions.
But you know how many teams that will qualify, and Eric, you could vouch for this, but like you're going to have one of those teams that don't communicate that, and then they show up with medals. You know,
how are they going to? I mean, that is a legitimate question. How are they going to police that? Waiting them in the parking lot? Oh, you hear you guys walking or
hear you clinking? You know, I'm sorry, can't let them in the park, guys. Got to take them off.
You're click clacking. You got to be.
Yep. Shoeless Joe
St.
Jackson.
Martin's we practice at the rack. They host a regional too. That might be an interesting thing to ask. There's always a regional down there. Usually Olympia hosts it. Interesting, like what those schools, when they bring the other, like the Eastern Washington teams in primarily, you know, are those teams required to do it? But
yeah,
definitely help from the WIA to make a statement on that. Anyway, I know at St. Martin's we used to practice at the rack, and our guys would always sneak them in and we'd always be very cognizant of it. Almost a study, like the first day out there, it's like, all right, this is the manager. You see him around, make sure no one's walking on the concrete, no click clack.
Yeah.
You know, outfielders, you know, stay on the turf, don't make a sound. The college game, and we ran into this too before, like you move to sites and they're any of those high school sites or city sites over here, like they're molded only. And you know, even like the big time colleges, like there's some guys that were molded. You know, a lot of the Division I schools, even if they have turf, a lot of those guys are still wearing metal. The game is like too fast. It's too fast at the college, and maybe you could probably make the same argument at the high school level. You know, for that traction and that piece, moldeds generally hold up better than the turfs, but
the technology has changed so much in the shoe too, Kelly. I think that's the big thing. I mean, when I played back in the only good molds you had was the Nike Diamonds, and that was like the top dog, and those were $100 and whatever bucks. But
there were no ponies. But yeah, they did.
No, there were no ponies. That's true.
I think it's moisture. Honestly, like I think now to think about it, like if it's wet, you know, a tennis shoe and a molded is going to have some troubles, and the spike is your best. But if it's dry, I think everything is fine.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be interesting.
Tim Lee in the comments about shade at Pierce, as if there's going to be sun. As if there's going to be sun at that tournament. You got to speak the sun into existence. We'd rather have no shade and hot than pouring down rain for a state title, and people make excuses about the wet ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We good.
Do we have a ball dryer installed there?
Yeah, I can get you a guy.
Oh,
man. What do you got? Where we heading there, boss? What's next?
We got
a couple questions.
Let's go this one. Chris Butcher, what are some of the high school matchups you look forward to seeing this spring?
There'll be some good ones.
I'd be curious. Some chatter. Ooh, that's a t-shirt right there. of guys that are people watching. We got 120 out
Good
there.
high
What's
school
game is?
rivalries. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are the good
I
high
think
school rivalries?
one of the local ones in the Central Washington is always Ellensburg Sela. You can't go wrong with that game. That game's been so good and so heated for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot, last year it was Riverview Brett. That game was intense.
Yeah, that was good. So this year, Liberty Christian is over in Richland, another private school, 1B school. They got a lefty, Dawson Mooney. He just topped out at 90. He's signed to go play at G or Gonzaga, GU.
Mhm.
And so that'll be we're going to play them in a single. So that would be a good matchup
Mhm.
or something like that. It's not an often thing that you see a left-hander hit upper 80s like that. So
Right.
that would be fun for sure.
The other, I guess these are all East Side matchups, but I know it's happening at our facility. Is a Soton Napavine. That'll be a good game.
Yeah.
Two teams. I feel like that will be there at the end.
Yeah, and even thinking in the 3A, 4A,
Mhm.
see what Richland does, coming back from a perfect season like that.
Mhm.
They got some dudes coming in to play.
Yeah.
And that's over here on the west side. Kelly, I don't know who's looking top on the high school side for
Would it be like Sumner Puyallup, maybe someone like that? Who else we got?
Be a good game. That could be a good
Lake
game.
Washington's always got some good ones.
L-Dub at old Peter Kirk or Lee Johnson Field downtown. Still say
Mhm.
that's the best setting. Someone can debate me on that. The best setting for high school baseball in the state is Lee Johnson Field in Kirkland. If you haven't been there before, go and check a game downtown, middle of the town, everything happening, lights on, big crowds. It's electric. Playing there growing up, and the thing is, it's a skinned infield dirt, right? Like all dirt infield, and it's been that way since I was 13 years old playing at that field. But with the lights and the trees and everything there, like the aesthetic is awesome. And we've had Coach Bingham on here a little bit, but they have a turf field at their high school, right? And talking to him, like their booster club puts money forth so they can pay the fees to play at Lee Johnson Field, under the lights in that, downtown atmosphere feel. It's pretty electric at some of those places. And, I know the East Side, like you guys don't get it a lot, but the night games, I mean, there's a lot more night games over here. And, having gone to some, Puyallup games and the recruiting ranks from time to time, and, Lee Johnson for some of the Kinko games, others that I'm missing, like you turn the lights on at 7:00 when no one else has anything going on, like you're gonna get yourself a pretty good crowd. But the 4:00 crowd is tough, and it's over here, it's over there. But to get even the parents there for those games is enough of a grind with people working and doing those type of things. So yeah, I would keep my eyes open for some SPSL action and maybe a couple teams that Eric mentioned, but could be a pretty good fun year for some of the schools over this way.
Mm-hmm. No, those are fun. Friday night lights. I mean, even on the baseball side in early spring, those are the greatest.
Oh no!
Uh-oh.
You tricked me, didn't you?
Oh,
We're
man.
live too. Hey, Scott.
That was a trick.
That wasn't trick. You
Whoa.
took
120 people viewing you right now, Scotty. We got
21
for the people.
I got an ugly face. That's what I got for them. If they're viewing it, that's awful for them.
Yeah.
Who am I? Am I interrupting somebody?
Not at all.
You're the
So-
somebody.
So, Scotty,
What are we talking about?
what is the best matchups for this spring? High school
High
level,
school baseball.
across the board, whoever.
Richland Puyallup.
Oh,
Let's go right to the title game.
Right. I mean, why not? Right? Isn't Puyallup? I think I saw them ranked in the top 10 in the country. So
Wow.
I'll give them and I've seen a lot of their players play at the Palouse Summer Series. Same with Richland, and they're always good. So I don't know. I mean, that Kittitas Colfax matchup at Gonzaga, I've got that one circled to watch.
That's going to be premier.
Yeah.
Is anything on the line for that game? Anything apart from pride, Scotty? Do we want to lay it out here?
That's a good call, Eric.
Oh no.
Well, we're both
Yeah.
Coug fans, so we can't. There's no like you got to dress up as a Husky. Ooh, maybe
No.
that's.
Ooh,
I want.
or is it?
That would be good.
Is it?
That would be sinful.
I made that bet twice in my career,
Oh.
and it was with Lloyd Gage.
Mm.
And I believe it or not, it was 2 times the Huskies won or the Cougs won, and Lloyd showed up to practice. Decked out. I had to loan him all my Cougar stuff, but he went through with it, and I was pretty impressed because I told him after that I wouldn't have done it. So I'd have been like, "Sorry, I'm welching on a bet. I am not a man of my word."
Was that through the Alex Brink years?
Well, there was only a few, so yes, it would have been
Yeah.
2000 and
Yeah.
that was when I was at Sense. 2005 and 2006. We got, I think that, or no, 2004, 2005. So he showed up at practice the next day, and he was a man of his word, and he wore all my Coug stuff, and he didn't talk a whole lot that day, but he stuck to it. So that's always a dangerous bet because I don't even have purple in my wardrobe. So, all Husky gear. I don't know if I could live that down, especially where I live.
Yeah, no kidding.
Milky.
Well, we can think of something. We can think of something that's.
How about a pizza party for the winning team paid for by the opposing coach?
All right.
That's not a bad bet.
There you go.
Or a trip to the practice with the cat.
I mean, I'd be down with that. I'm sure that's illegal, but
Yeah, probably breaking some rules there.
I've been seeing Sorensen's guys popping up on Twitter a bunch. You got a guy running 85, Eric. You sandbagger. You didn't tell me that.
Well, why would I? I ain't trying to advertise it.
Well, too late now. Now I know.
Yeah.
I'm
Darn
switching the schedule around. Going Goldendale Kittitas game 1.
That's gonna be good.
I'm not gonna say anything.
That'll be a good one. I don't. Other than that, I haven't paid. You never know who's, as far as the other high schools go. I don't know who's out there and who lost all their guys, but I'm sure Tri-Cities Prep's going to be right in the mix. I'm sure the sales and the ACH will be good. 1A, who's out there in 1A? Give me some names.
Oh man, you guys got Nat Cheese.
Well, what about Linden Christian? Right? I mean, where are they? Yeah. They'll be in there probably. They seem to always be good.
Mm-hmm. Freeman's ours now. Unfortunately, we get
Good to see him. How many times, Scotty? Twice.
What's that?
How many times you playing Freeman this year? Twice. 3 times. So
yeah, we'll go Saturday doubles, and then everybody a single on a Tuesday. So we'll get Freeman 3 times and the Soton 3 times all right in a row. So it'll be we'll find out what we're making right now next. It's gonna be a heck of a week of baseball. I got 10 days of baseball, 12 days of baseball. So it'll be fun though.
Nice.
Your guys' league will be pretty good.
Yeah, we're split now. So the North will have Chewelah and Northwest, who've been kind of representing our league the last couple of years. I think, Kettle's always in the mix. Newport, I don't know anything about Newport, but I'm sure I'll find out as the season progresses. And then you got Davenport and Reardon and Davenport. They both should be tough. They both should have a couple arms that can go out and beat somebody. So that North League will be good too. I think our South League is pretty strong. Anytime you got a junior that can run it in the mid 80s from the left side, you're going to be tough with the Soton. We faced Freeman last year, and they got some pretty good guys too. We got a couple good arms, really good shortstop, well coached too. So they'll be tough. And then, hopefully we're in the mix somewhere. We'll find out. So I'm kind of excited. I'm getting ready. We're a month out. I'm excited for this coaches clinic this weekend and visit with everybody and catch up and hopefully learn a couple things. I'm excited to listen to Coach Cox speak. He's always Anybody that's got 19 state champions,
Yeah.
he's got something that we can all probably learn a little bit from, especially as small school guys. So I'm excited.
Absolutely.
It's always fun. I'm excited to see everybody.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
We're
Sure.
excited to see you, Scotty. That's the highlight of our clinic for us.
I haven't registered yet. I don't know what you're talking about.
I know. That's why I was like, you're really coming because I haven't seen your name pop up there.
Trying to push a couple of my coaches to come with me, but it's some of them are still slightly unsure, and maybe they will and maybe they won't. And if not, you'll get a solo Colfax coach over there regardless. So I'll get over there myself, but I got my hotel, so we're golden.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
Perfect. How about before we let you go, Scotty? Big weekend kickoff for the Wildcats, our alumni, our alma mater.
Rolling down to Cal. That's where we started my senior year, was Cal State Stanislaus. That was 20 years ago. So I saw that the Ponce kid that came out of Wazoo. He's a Big Bend guy too.
Yep.
5 or 6 bombs. Like, that's nuts.
Yeah.
And I know they got, and I haven't. I'll look into them a little bit more as like their season goes. So I don't know a ton about it. I know they got the Manzardo kid, and Desi said they got maybe the league MVP and the pitcher of the year back. So
Wow.
that's something like that. So it'll be. I mean, anytime you go on the road, and I'm sure they drove to Stanislaus. No, they
fly now.
They flew.
They fly now.
We drove everywhere. We had vans ready to go, and then God rest his soul, Justin Marshall's dad was like, I'm gonna at least buy you guys a nice charter bus. So we chartered 15 hours down to Stanislaus and played them 4 times, just like these guys. We came back 2-2 though. It wasn't 4-0. So good for them, good for Dez and those guys. I'm excited to see how that continues, because 4 wins in a row, it's never easy to do, no matter who you're playing.
Yeah, if you come back from California undefeated, you're sitting in a good spot.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, our guys probably haven't even been outside yet, so
it's cold. Yeah, no, they've not been outside. No,
they were ready for that. They were ready for that. I don't know if it was warm, but I'm sure it was more pleasant than the Northwest. So
guaranteed.
All right.
Guaranteed.
Well, thanks for having me, fellas.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Good to see you. Yeah.
I'll see you guys. I'll see you
Friday.
guys.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Take care, Scotty.
See you, buddy.
I can't believe he clicked on it. For those watching, I sent Scott an unmarked email.
That's funny. That is funny.
Stay on the loop for that.
And he happened to have his webcam on. Wow.
Yeah,
Can you believe it?
That's good. Yeah, no, man, I'm excited to see him this weekend, and pretty excited for Central for doing what they did down there in Stanislaus. I remember when we went down, we drove down, played them a couple days, drove to Cal State East Bay, played a couple games, and then came home. And I think that was the pop can trip in the toilet. And the bus driver made a statement. He wouldn't clean someone threw a can in the toilet, and he made a statement, didn't clean that bus all week. And coming home was brutal, man. It was like a rolling turd of a fart bus on the way home. And
especially get over some of those hills when you're using some RPMs. That bus is hot.
Shaking it up. Milby was the commented earlier, probably was in the back next to it with Burnett. But I remember coming home, and we got to Sacramento at like 8 p.m. thinking we're still going to Ellensburg tonight in this bus. It was so bad. That was something else.
Yeah.
Listeners, keep sending those questions. It's fun having you guys watch. And what we got? What's our next subject? What are we talking about, listeners? What do you guys want? What do you guys want to kick off till we wait for these questions to roll in? Oh, I don't know. Maybe I should. Have you taken your rules clinic yet?
I have not. Yep. I'm going to do it.
See, and if there's people who have opinions on this, because hopefully we have quite a few high school listeners on here. I saw that there's a new rule. They're trying to cut down on more ejections for the high school. Apparently, high school baseball coaches lead the ejection deal.
Of course.
And there's the new rule is if a coach lingers for too long, it could lead to a forfeit.
So is that, were we on the clock? Like they have a little stopwatch?
Well, and that's my problem with it. what we're leaving a real big judgment call up to interpretation in this thing. I'd like to we wish there was more information on it, because yeah, granted we shouldn't be out there throwing a scene, but if that guy has a bad day or he said one too many wrong, or for whatever reason that umpire has a bad day, I mean, how long's too long?
Well, we know
I
you,
know
Eric.
in the college game, like the umpires like give a warning after the ejection, because there's a prolonged suspension if you stay on there, and hopefully the umpires in your case are trained to, if there is someone that lingers, and you as a coach know what lingering means, right? Like you get ejected, maybe you get a couple more words in, a couple sentences, anything after that, I think you know that you're on borrowed time. So hopefully at that point you get your money's worth. And they say, you know, hey, this is your final warning for lingering. So yeah, it'll be interesting how that's policed for sure.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that Coach Lee here is correct, because I mean, the guy just has a bad day and doesn't give you a warning, and all of a sudden you forfeit the game to it. And you're right. I mean, you'll know the guys that this is going to happen to. They're obviously going to be quite obnoxious in what's going on. But I guess I've never been a fan of rules that have quite open interpretations of things, in my opinion of it. Gray area. So I'd be curious, but I hope you're right. I mean, if he says that's done, that's done. Like, but don't lead us into that forfeit of that game. That'd be kind of crazy.
Oh, that'd be rough. Yeah.
But
hey, Kelly, how many games have you been thrown out on?
Yeah.
In your tenure?
Give a second to count. Was that 6 years? I don't know, maybe 5.
Okay.
Maybe 5.
Okay. And how many seasons was that? 6, you said, or 7?
6. Over 6, yeah.
So about 1 a year, maybe, give or take.
Something like that. But the college game is different, because as a head coach, if you get ejected, you're just out for that game. You can come back the next one. Assistant coaches and players, there's a longer suspension. Starting pitching, I think, is a 4-game suspension. But so you know that. I think what you learn throughout the process is there's knowing those rules. There's stuff that's worth getting ejected for, and there's stuff that's not. Like, just the rally up your team to get ejected is not worth it. Now, if you're standing up for a player or something that he did, like, those were the times to go. And unfortunately, I know it was my second year. It was back-to-back games or back-to-back weekends where there was an emotional one, and the next weekend was the stand up for the player one. So I remember my pitching coach too. Like, so I'll set the scene. It was bases loaded. It was a pitcher's duel, Western Oregon, like, tough to beat them at their place. And our guy was pitching his tail off, and like an infield in situation, ground ball, play at the plate. Yeah, it short hops the catcher. He picks it. The runner tries to jump over the catcher to avoid the tag and gets tagged for an out. And the Western Oregon coach, who was a good friend of mine, still is, came out and argued about the catcher blocking the plate before having the ball. And there was a wonderful umpire at third base. I'm not going to name his name. Who decided to be a big boy and rule that happened, even though knowing that, like, if I'm a catcher that has to pick a ball out in front of home plate, there's no way I can be blocking the plate and not give a lane while picking a ball out in front, unless you're Gumby himself. But anyways, I remember it's happening, and the pitching coach had driven down there. I think he had family in the area. Cole Brocker, we had on the podcast, and I remember, like, as the umpires are discussing it, he's in the dugout with his keys in his hand, like, dangling them for me, like, I got a place for you to hang out. You go for this one. And sure as heck, I got to go sit in his AC car and hang out for a little bit. But
what inning was that, Kelly?
It was late. It was like I think it was like the 7th of a 9-inning game or something
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
Yeah, just a game changer move, right? Like your pitcher's doing his thing, your catcher makes a play, and like you can't if it's an initial call and like the home plate guy is like certain he's on top of it and makes that call, like you get it. But if a third base umpire who has plenty of other responsibilities to be watching at that point in time is the one that overrules it, you have to start to think like, maybe he thought that if a run came across that this game could end quicker. But no, that game actually after that game, it was kind of a catalyst that got our guys going for the rest of the year. That was our good year in 19. Winner, 2 wins away from a regional.
That's pretty cool.
I will say it's quite the thrill when you're like getting ready to leave to go watch your buddy's team play in your hometown, and you get a text, "Hey, they won't let me play no more. I'm sitting outside of Nicholson if you want to hang out." And I was like, "I'll be right there, Kel. You need anything to drink? Anything? Snacks? Nothing?" It was late enough the game I didn't get there in time, and he was already back in the dugout coaching game too. So
that's funny.
That was last year. That was last year at Central.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the problem is like, and I hate to like talk about like it's not like fun. It's not funny to be ejected or any means, but like the fun side of it, you play double headers. Like the smart move is to get ejected in game 2 because then you're done for the day. But if game 1, you got to sit and there's nothing like game 1 and then coming back to the plate meeting and having to stand by those guys and act like everything's fine. I don't know who it's most awkward for.
Oh man. Oh.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
those are good ones. Yeah. Oh. So yeah, we don't have the luxury, Kelly, as high school coaches, at least in our spring.
You guys get
seasons.
2-game suspension or what afterwards? Ejections.
Well, I think coaches are 2, and then you have to go through a whole assortment of classes and sportsmanship, anger management, and then write up a plan. And your AD and your superintendent have to probably meet with you, and it's not worth it by any means, in my opinion.
Not at all.
I don't argue calls. I like to ask more questions than anything, just because I don't. I preach to my guys. We don't talk to the umpires, right? We don't complain about things. So, yeah, I don't. I try
Just
not.
depends how you ask the question, Eric.
It's all about presentation, man. It's all about presentation. So that's where I'm at. I usually like to ask their opinion. I might say, I think you're wrong, but I guess we're going to have to just disagree today. And they usually, for the most part, generally respect that. I guess so. I don't know. I don't know what's right or wrong in that aspect. I think the most times I argue a call, I'll be standing next to the umpire with my lineup card out. When I want to give them my true feelings, that's when I do it. I don't do it when everybody's watching. I do it between innings. Hey, I'm going to make this. I'm not making a sub. But just so you know,
you don't pull out the rule book and flash it at them at all. You know, it's like
I've gone to the dugout for the rule book once or twice, and luckily an assistant coach was like, "That's so dumb. Don't do. You're not going to be here." And I'm like handing my card here. You got the rest of the game. Like it's not worth it.
Oh,
like, okay, you're probably right.
Yeah. Oh man,
I've seen some good high school stuff though, like umpires and that kind of stuff. The best one I saw was at Curtis High School, watching Curtis and Sumner, and Casey Adcox got ejected by the first base umpire he shouldn't have been ejected, and the home plate umpire overruled him and let him back in the game. He got unejected. It's the first time, the only time in baseball history I've seen a guy get unejected. Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
And then the first base umpire apologizing, like, I had a rough weekend and this and that, and like, geez. I love watching high school sports, man. Like, you just never know what you're gonna see.
Oh, that's so
I've
true.
never seen an uninjection. That's what blows me away.
Uninjected, yeah. Well, I mean, and that hopefully that's what you see with some of the delaying stuff, and if they're putting more rules in, that there's, you know, a field umpire that can vouch, and like that there's, you know, a level of, you know, leadership or you know, lay of the land law, that like people have cooler heads on things and understand the ramifications of a forfeit, right? Like,
Mhm.
but you know, you guys know as high school coaches or baseball coaches in general, like we know what the line is, right? We know what going too far is to
Oh yeah,
do
for sure.
stuff like that. How many ejections do you have, Jason? You asked me that question.
Well, of course, in spring season, 0 because of the consequences that will come on our way. But summer ball, oh yeah. Oh,
So guys,
Drop
going,
in.
yeah, just random drop in on a Monday night podcast.
That's right. We're just talking about ejections.
Okay.
How many you got, Derek? How many you got?
I've never been ejected in a high school game.
Okay.
I have been ejected 3 times in a summer game, but never in a high school game. My AD would never.
That's good.
But I have been benched once. The whole like benching thing that the intermediate, it's like the first technical foul, right? Before they eject you, eventually.
Yeah.
Which was interesting, but yeah. What about you guys?
Well,
One time in summer ball, I haven't done high school yet.
Okay.
Yet.
You say yet as if it's coming.
No, it can't. You know it can't.
Oh, he's gonna get that one for that lingering arguing.
I had one last year or the year before. I can't specify. I probably should have said that. Where I did look into the crowd at my 80, and he was like, "No," and I go, "Yeah." And the umpire's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Just give me a second. I got to figure this out real quick. Can I keep going or not?" And so
It's just not a thing. What about Mr. Kelly Gow at St. Martin's? How many you got?
Don't worry about it. I think. Well, you guys keep talking. I'll count them up. I think 2 at home. 2 at home. 1 at NNU. 3. 1 at Western is 4. Maybe it's only 4. I don't know. Less than 6. More 4 or more.
Okay. Call it 5 and just call it good, Kelly.
Sure. We'll go with that.
Yeah. So
what are the matchups, Derek, that you're looking for? And we talked about this earlier in high school baseball on West Side. Like, what are the top matchups this year for high school baseball?
Yeah, so y'all's playing Mount Vernon. That's a big one. Of course, you got the 2 draft guys. You got Mason Pike and you got Xavier Nines. That's early on. I think it's March 15th. It's part of that. Yeah, the Northwest High School Invitational. So obviously that's the big one. For us, I mean, we're moving up into 4A now, so we kind of get back to our natural rivals back in the day when you were playing, Kelly.
Oh yeah.
So the Wooden Bills and some new schools obviously in the mix too now, but Issaquah, kind of getting the band back together. I remember coming into the league and I was by far the youngest coach, by far. And then fast forward 10 years later, and I was by far the most tenured coach in 3A. So it's kind of nice to be going back to not being I can kind of mix in again in the middle. I don't have to. It's a couple other veterans in that mix now that I don't have to be the one that's the oldest guy anymore. I mean, I think there's a lot of good baseball down south too. Obviously, that SPSL is pretty solid.
We talked about a matchup there this year. That might be cool. Yeah.
What's that one?
Just SPSL, blue blood matchup. A couple schools they're near each other.
Oh, Puyallup and Sumner. You chatted about that one a little bit.
We chatted about that a little bit. Yeah.
Did you bring up any of the background?
We did not. No. We just thought a couple of schools that were, good baseball schools matching up.
Yeah, for sure. Might be worth catching that game. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough. It's I've been used to the 3A landscape for the last however long, so now I'm trying to get back in the 4A mix and figure out kind of who the big dogs are again. Obviously, I mean, Kinko, I think we had, two of the Final Four teams last year in Bothell and North Creek.
Mm-hmm.
And North Creek played that, like, epically long game against Richland, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, extra inning games, yeah. So, not sure.
I just never thought of those
what are the big-
matchups as like rivalries, like, and maybe I don't know. Like, Bothell was always a rival for Woodinville, but like nothing else was. It didn't feel like it was like a rivalry or like something crazy type thing.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that when I first got the job at, like, Washington, like, everybody said that the rival was Woodinville, which is interesting because we weren't even in the same school district really, but obviously we were in the same conference. And there's definitely some heated rivalries. Like, I mean, for us and Juanita, obviously that goes back a while. There's probably a stretch of 5 or 6 years where, at least for us, Mercer Island was probably our main rival. And I think between 2015 and 2019, I think that we won 3 of the 5 state titles, but like we were back and forth on Kinko championships too. So those were always good games. But I would say I do agree. Like, there's not like that, the Woodinville, Bothell, Inglemoor, like that football rivalry that kind of exists. Never really kind of spilled over to the baseball side of things.
Interesting.
We'll see. Pop up time from time to time.
Yep.
How's Monroe
sometimes
basketball? We know you mix it up. What are we looking forward to this
Monroe
week?
basketball is cruising right now. 17-2.
Wow.
And only 2 losses to a team from Pennsylvania and Arizona. So won the Wesco North last Friday night, and then we have so Wesco's divided into North and South. So we'll either play Edmonds Woodway or Shorecrest on Thursday for like the true Wesco championship, and then it goes into district playoffs and then state and all that good stuff. But yeah, it's been fun. It's definitely a new thing for me. I wasn't really much of a basketball guy growing up. But, my basketball coaching started in middle school. Our athletic director sent out this panic email saying like the ADs at the middle school were desperate for coaches, and so I'm like, I'll give my hand at basketball, give it a shot. And so did that for a few years at the middle school level. And then the head coach at Monroe now, his name is Justin Perone. He used to be the head coach at Overlake. And him and I grew up or had kids in the Monroe community at the same time. And so I just reached out to him and said, hey, if you ever want somebody on your staff that will never want to take your job and will run all the sets that you want to run and will basically teach everything that you know basketball wise, and I'll just apply it to our kids, let me know. And so started that journey about 4 or 5 years ago, and was the C team coach at first, now JB coach and varsity assistant. So it's a lot different coaching basketball. I will say that. Like, the decision-making time is so small, right? Like, you have to make decisions on the fly. You don't get that time that the catcher throws the ball back to the pitcher and you're sitting there thinking and contemplating. Like, things can happen out of nowhere and you've got to be ready to adjust on the fly. Whether it's substitutions because some guy got foul trouble or should they just hit a 3? We have no timeouts left. And we're down 1. Like, now what? Like, what are we going to do? Right. And so definitely a different game to coach, but super exciting. And I've really enjoyed doing it, actually. And I think it's maybe a better baseball coach, honestly, just seeing the perspective of a different varsity sport and how those coaches interact. And, I learned a lot from Coach Prone in terms of like family atmosphere. Like, he does a really good job of like all 3 programs feeling like they're one, whether it's varsity, JV, and C team. And I've always tried to do that, but I feel like I've picked up on a few things that he's done too that I really like. So, but yeah, Monroe basketball heading into the 3A state tournament. Hopefully, got some work to do in the district tournament. But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see if the one thing I told him when I was hired was like, hey, baseball is always going to win any conflict, right? So you go far enough, like. You happen to get lucky enough to get into the state tournament at the Tacoma Dome. It's the same week as tryouts, so it'll be a super busy week for me if we're fortunate enough to get that far.
That's cool.
Hopefully you're playing the late night games and you can go to practice and then on your way down to the tournament.
That's right. Exactly. that'd be nice.
What else you got? What else you got on the horizon? What can we look for from LW baseball this year? How we feeling?
Feeling good. It's been 2025 is kind of a year we've been expecting good big things out of for a while. Like our freshman class that year was, extraordinary and good problem to have. Definitely a problem, but good problem to have. We have 16 seniors planning on trying out. So that's good in terms of being a veterans club. It's also, like, as you all know, makes for some difficult decisions during tryouts. You have those kids that have been, in the program for 3 years and, fighting for a spot on the team. And we've been lucky enough to have some underclassmen playing a lot the last few years. And so, but yeah, it's an exciting year for us. And I mentioned it earlier, kind of getting back to 4A. We're excited about that. Seeing some new matchups. And I don't know. I mean, it's always the same every year. Like, regardless of, you guys know this, regardless of how talented you think you're going to be, you're always looking forward to it around this year. And it's always, for us on the west side, it's always about the time when the first snow comes in that baseball's about to happen. Wouldn't you know it, 2-hour delay this morning and another one tomorrow. So that's kind of how baseball season's right around the corner is when it starts snowing.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys get much snow down there, Kelly?
Yeah, we had quite a bit on the ground today. I think our schools were 3 hours, the local ones.
Okay.
But baby duty, I don't have to go anywhere, so we're just hanging out, watch it snow. Let it snow, baby.
There you go. Yeah, they've already put tomorrow on delay at a bunch of schools over here, so I think it's supposed to freeze overnight too. We're
getting a lot more than over there.
I know. Yeah. It's wild, right?
We had Flurry put up and stood.
There was a stretch of 2 or 3 years where one day during tryouts every year was snowed out. I think we had 3 years in a row.
Wow.
And you know how schools work. It's like, if there's no school, there's nothing, right? You can't, go off site or do anything like that to get a tryout in or practice in. So you're basically stuck. And I think one year we were like, I don't think we had any days that we could afford with, like, we were playing our first game after the 10th practice. So we had to move a whole bunch of stuff around to make it happen. What do you guys think of the new rules now, where it's 5 practices for a jamboree and then 8 for first game? Have you guys made any adjustments to your schedule for that?
No,
not much. No. So
everybody over here is pushing everything up. They want to do the jamborees on Saturday, like the first Saturday, and then they want to start playing the following Monday. It's wild.
Wow.
And I'm trying to.
We're not ready.
I'm trying to keep our kind of standard. Like, we've always done our tryouts in 2 phases. Like, phase 1 is the first 3 days where we kind of pick who's in the program, and then we kind of do a couple more days, and then on that first Saturday we've kind of done our inter squad games, and that's kind of the final tryout. And so I'd like to kind of keep that in check, but I'm struggling to find a jamboree because everybody wants to do it that Saturday. So
I like having my first Saturday for my team inter squad scrimmage.
Yep, and that's what we've done forever, right? So I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, we also definitely go ahead.
Like the first week of the season, I think the past 3 years we've woke up to snow and it melted by the time we got to practice.
Oh, there you go.
So why are we trying to push games in our area, at least for that? I've never been a component of it, because we could have a foot of snow still in March.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I think everybody's just like racing to get them in there. I mean, our league play starts the 3rd week. So it's pretty quick.
It's hard in this area. We've talked about that a lot in the podcast. Like the Northwest, guys, unless you got a good pitching staff that can deep handle it, that's one thing. But
yes,
I don't know.
Well, I will say, like, especially on the west side too. The thing we have going for us. I mean, I think when I first started coaching, it was like, oh man, these kids are not nearly ready to pitch. And still think it's still tight, but you know, the majority of these kids are in pretty robust off-season throwing programs and probably coming into tryouts a lot more prepared to throw than they were maybe 10, 15 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
You know, at least over here. And again, it's just kind of based off of, you know, where you are geographically. But like, I would say if we have 60 kids trying out, 55 of them are probably in some sort of summer program where they're doing off-season workouts. But at the same time, there's nothing you can't simulate throwing outside and throwing live at bats like in 32-degree weather when it's raining sideways,
Right.
Oh man.
But at least I do think that there's a little bit less concern on the pitchers. I mean, you still need to take it slow with them, but I think they're probably more prepared to throw in a game than they were, you know, when we first got started doing this.
We got a listener question for you.
Oh, Tim Lee chiming in.
Are there
More
more
ejections in hoops than baseball? So I mentioned earlier, basketball has that like kind of intermediate like technical foul, like where the first technical foul is essentially it's a 2-shot foul, but it's also a warning. And once you get one of those, like you're probably gonna tone it down and make sure you don't get your second one. It's kind of that benching in baseball, but I feel like some umpires in the baseball side don't really use the benching to their advantage. So the beauty of basketball is like, hey, the technical foul is going to kind of give you that like moment of pause to be like, probably can't go any further. Don't want to get ejected. And then more abuse to the refs. It's interesting because it's just a different type of communication with the refs, because baseball, man, you can jaw at one of those guys if they miss a ball strike call, and there's a lot of time that's what you're doing. In basketball, like you got to move on as a coach, like right away, like the next play is happening immediately, right? And so like you might be able to like have a conversation during a timeout or during a foul shot with a referee, but for the most part, those guys are up and down the court. You don't have that like. You don't have their ear like you do in baseball when the first base umpire is just standing there for, 7 straight batters because nobody's gotten on base, right? And like you could chew in his ear the whole time if you wanted to. So I wouldn't say there's more ejections. We haven't seen, like at least this year, there's probably been like 4 technical fouls and only 2 of those were like called by the refs for like an overreaction or a coach going on. 2 of them were like, one of them is like, if you don't have your starters in the book, or if you don't have a kid in the game, that if he's not in the book, like if he's not written down, like one of our opponents didn't write one of the kids in, so that was automatic technical foul. And then the other one was you're not allowed to dunk in warmups, and kid on the other team grabbed the rim during warmups, so that was a technical foul. So there's really only been 2 T's all year that have been like, and I wouldn't even call them abusive. It was just like the ref had heard enough and kind of banged it. So, but yeah. About the same, 0.
It's more. It's so quick and more dramatic in basketball in a way. Yes. You got the whole. I guess basically you got that.
Yeah, you got that, but like, yeah,
that's different. Yeah.
Well, I will also say too, just watching our head coach and interact with the referees, like. You can work them a lot more in a basketball game because you can just kind of constantly be having conversations with them. Like when they're on your side of the court, you can like be talking to them as they go up and down. So I think you don't have to like baseball, right? If you want to have a conversation with the referee, it's like you're calling or umpire, you're calling time. You're like stopping play. You're going out. Like everybody in the park knows that what you're doing. Because in basketball, it can be a little bit more subtle sometimes. Like if there's a foul call and the guy's inbounding the ball, the referee's inbounding the ball next to your bench, you can kind of be like, hey, what did you think about that last one, or what did you see on that one? Versus like in baseball, you don't get that opportunity unless you make a scene, essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I always watched it in like basketball and soccer, like the refs are like running the opposite way from you. So I always feel like as a coach in those sports, you can like kill shot them and like they might not hear it, but like baseball umpires are stationary. So like they're gonna hear what you say. They're not moving the other way. Like you're
Right.
not talking to them as they're walking away.
Right.
All right. We had another one. How long did it take for you to get comfortable being a third base coach? One of those spots that seem easy to execute from the stands, but in the game moves quick on the field. It's a great point.
Kelly, did you coach third at St. Martin's?
I did for a little bit. I don't know. I think I was never uncomfortable, but it was tough to run an offense and run a box. So when I got the head job, I think the first year I coached third, and then the second year I went back to the dugout just because of all the other decisions that come into play during a game. And especially if you're in the first base dugout coaching third, unless you're really good at Morse code or hand signals, it's like impossible to communicate things in the dugout in game, right? So that's why I moved back in there. But as far as like sending guys and doing those type of things, like I always erred on the side of aggression, especially of all the outfield, because guys have to play catch, and they have to play catch from distance, and it's really hard to do. So I don't know. I was comfortable there. I loved it. It's a thrill. It's honestly a thrill. Like in the moment, like it's as close as you're gonna get to playing again, right? Like it's happening live. You have to make a decision, and it could have really big bearings within the game. So I love the thrill of it. And you made mistakes, but I think once you know that, like, if you make another guy play catch and get you out, like at least they earn that no matter what.
Right. Yeah, for me, it's like the one thing, over the last, 10 years, I've started to delegate a lot more, and I had some really good coaches that I've been able to hand over, that whether it's the entire pitching staff to, or infield or outfield or hitting. But to me, it's the one thing that I would least like to give up, is coaching third. To your point, it's kind of like it's the one way for you to kind of stay in the game almost competitively. And I do think for a lot of younger coaches, or like the challenges, you hit the nail on the head, Kelly, like the fear of getting guys thrown out, like as if that's like, a bad thing, right? Like it's going to happen. Like whenever I'm teaching base running, I always tell our guys, like, if I don't get anybody thrown out at home all year, I've done a horrible job, right? Because how many times could we have scored that we didn't, right? And so I think once you get over that initial, like, because everybody is going to look at you when you get a guy thrown out of home plate, right? The eyes in the stands, and the team is going to be like, why did coach send that guy, right? It's just the way it's going to be. And so as long as you can, feel confident in your own preparation and decision making, and know that, like, that's just part of the game and part of coaching it, I think that's when you become more comfortable. If you're not somebody that likes your decisions questioned, I would not recommend doing it. But then again, we probably wouldn't be coaching if that was the case, right? So what about you two guys? You
like time in it, like you got to be comfortable in it, and like knowing the timing element. I know in the college game, like if your base runner is hitting the bag before the outfielder fields it, you got a really good shot. And in high school, you maybe get a couple steps before the bag. It's all the timing and speed of the game, right? Like, so the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it, in my opinion. But yeah, what do you guys got?
Jason?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, one of those things you just got to live with what you call, right? Either you're a superstar or you're an idiot. It's the thing is paying attention to detail and knowing arm strengths on when to extend guys and when not to, and seeing movements of defenders and position and how they move their feet. And I think that's what catches a lot of coaches off guard. They start, dazing off and looking at other things, maybe distractions in the stands, or they're too much distracted by the dugout that they're kind of losing ground on the runners on base and those kind of things. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to be a coach, and it's a lot easier from the stands to watch. And you're like, man, that guy was an idiot. Why was he bunting with that guy? Sitting with no outs or whatever the case may be, or what was he thinking on extending that runner from second or first? With a deep shot into the outfield. So it's just perspectives are always going to be different, and you just live with it. So. Anyways, you just got to have thick skin, I guess. That's really what it comes down to. And just expect to be praised and expect the other side to be like, man, that guy's an idiot.
Yeah.
It's just the way it goes.
I think I probably got more comfortable later. I don't know. But my first few years as an assistant, when Coach Watkins had me doing it, I was not comfortable at all. I think actually it's having more conversations with my buddies and Kelly and talking about the situation before anything even happens, not when I quit making it bigger than it was, realizing where we're at in the lineup, where can I push, when can I push the issue on things, when do I need to 100%, like it doesn't matter what's going to happen, but I'm going to bank that we're going to get there and that guy's going to throw the ball halfway up backstop, I hope. I don't know. I think I'm comfortable in the fact now that when I do get a guy thrown out or make a decision that I'm going to have the mini Mark gossip guys going crazy about. Hopefully they're there, the mini Mark gossip guys, because that means they're at the game. But if I could truly answer the question myself, this is why I did it, and I can live with it, then I think that's when I became at peace of being a third base coach. Like, this is why. I know my team, and I think it's just that pre-pitch, man. Don't get caught up on all the extra stuff, but don't make situations bigger than they are, and then you can really dive in as a head coach and make the right decisions in the right situations. God, I've had some doozies though. So, what was I thinking? Why did I do that?
You learn from it though. I mean, you just don't make the same mistake twice. And if you do, then you can be sorry for yourself. But before that, you just and I love that comment about like just our conversations too about knowing where you're at in the lineup, knowing where the situation is. Like if you're chasing runs, you're obviously a little more conservative. If it's a do or die game, and you have your 4-hole guy leading off, and you feel really good about going into the next inning, then you make decisions that not. And like that's again, like to Dondo's question, like that's what makes that position so much fun, because people think of it just as like calling plays or sending guys, but there's so much more thought that goes into that, especially in the play side of things, when you're running an offense, like what guys can and can't do, what the situation calls for. Like that's the joy of this thing. And I think a lot of people don't understand like how hard like coaches are going to overanalyze these things after the fact, like what you could have done, what you couldn't have done. At the end of the day, like you have to just trust your gut and be good with making mistakes. But at the end of the day, like there's just so much that goes into that process. It's so fun. Yeah.
I love your comment about running the offense, because I do kind of feel like an offensive coordinator sitting out there, especially when you get guys on, leadoff guy on, you can make some things happen. And that's if your offense is based around that, whether it's, a fake steal, then you get a fake bunt or bunting guys over, green lighting runners on the play of you're going from first to third on this bunt. If he gets it down, not directly at the pitcher and causing chaos ball, that's when things get real fun being a third base coach. It really does. Yeah. Especially when you start scoring runs in that aspect.
What kind of offense you run, Derek? Like what's kind of some of your philosophies that won't tee you off to the rest of Kinko?
Yeah. I would say it's tailored to the team that we have on any given year. I think, in 2019, sure, we laid down a few sacrifice bunts here and there, but we had probably 3 of the best hitters, 3, 4, 5 in the state, in my opinion. So it's going to treat that a little bit differently than when you're a team that is built on pitching and defense, and maybe you're trying to scratch a few runs across, right? So I think first thing is you kind of have to know what team you have and base everything off of that, right? Like last year, I think we averaged I think we gave like 2 runs a game. We averaged 3.5. So it's not like we were some offensive juggernaut. We just found a way to score enough runs to win. And so I would say we play a lot more small ball in those cases than years past. Maybe we were scoring 6, 7 runs a game. You want to make sure you're not taking away opportunities to have the big inning. So I would say that my style generally tends towards the pitching and defense philosophies and kind of small ball, but also willing to adapt if the team warrants it based on any given year. Right.
Right.
I do think it would be very interesting. I've never had the experience that you had as a college coach, Kelly, but like being able to recruit to your style would be fun. Right. It'd be exciting. Like, hey, this is how I believe we're going to win games here. So this is the type of player I'm going to bring in to help us play that style versus like, oh, these are the 18 players that were the best players at my high school. Right. And then we have to like kind of just adapt our style to whatever we have.
Yeah, it's an interesting point too, because like you can't. I mean, you obviously there's characteristics, there's traits of players that you recruit in, but you don't really know the capabilities of what your team is until you really get in the thick of it. So I don't think it's a ton different than like what you're saying, just like adapting to the roster that you have. Like, but you spend like your fall scrimmages and any preseason work, like trying to work on stuff and have a really good feel of what your guys are and aren't able to do. And it could just depend on the lineup that day. Like maybe you need to be a little bit more defensive heavy, or maybe you need to be more offensive heavy, depending on who you're playing. But that goes into another thing, like just matchups and subs and having guys on the bench that can do things. And I know it's not a huge piece in the high school game. I know the pinch running and courtesy running is more of kind of a chess match that you guys have on that end of things. But the sub end of things, you have reentry though, don't you? Yeah, like so you can do some reentry stuff.
We have reentry, and then I would also say like when it comes to playoff time and you can expand your roster. Like I know for us, like those expanded roster spots generally go to a guy that can really run the bases and is really fast, and that some people we're going to use in that capacity late in the game. And I mentioned the fact that you never know, kind of like your style can change from year to year. We did in 2016 have a kid that was solely on the roster. His whole job was to get a sack bunt down, and if there was a time in the game we knew that we could put him in and get it done, and actually in the state championship game he was able to come in under pressure and get a sack bunt down. So it is kind of fun to piece your roster together once it comes playoff time with those roles, because you get to bring 20. And there's no reason not to use 20, right? If you might as well sit the guys up, even if it's just for experience. But sometimes you can find that like that kid that's been on JV all year, but man, if you need to score from second on a base hit, he's probably the best guy in the program to do that.
That's good. Got another question on there, Eric. You want to show that one?
Yeah, one more question.
The bottom one.
As we start
bottom one.
Yeah.
Former parent of a current St. Martin's baseball player, by the way. I'm sorry, a current parent of a St. Martin's baseball player where I used to be at.
That sounds more educated. Thank you.
On a former, on a current.
I was trying to figure out what he was.
What's up, Zach? Hopefully Zach's doing well. Hopefully you got a good laugh there. Okay. Let's hit this one. And by the way, Zen had a double off the wall. It was crushed. I thought it was a homer. I was watching a little bit of that live. That was awesome to see. So good to watch some of those guys get their feet wet to start the year again. He asked, is in the near future, do you see coaches and batters having headsets similar to catching and pitching coach? Oof, that's a good one. Golly, it could happen. I really liked the rules where they at the college game that they like the college game, how they've allowed the pitch clock to be a little more, that the hitter no longer has to have a foot in the box, that there's more like timing element of things, that the flow of the game is a little more traditional than maybe in the past, more pro style of things. So
that allows that to happen and work, a little more seamlessly. Um, I think it could happen. I would not want it to happen, and maybe the batter is one thing, but then you're going to have to open it up to the base runners, and it just, to me, that's just overcoaching, right? I think for us to be able to teach our guys situations and moments and have them react to it is a huge part of the game, right? And I think pitch calling, was one thing. With the wristbands, we're already doing it even before the headsets, but I know you guys weigh in now that you have the headsets at the college or the high school game. Like, what's your guys' take on that? And do you feel like there should be an expansion of those things?
Well, I mean, I'm a big proponent. I love it. I mean, Eric, you got your first year coming up with it, right? Or did you lose it last year?
Nope, we're gonna be first timers this year.
First year. I mean,
Yeah, pretty excited about it.
I enjoyed it a lot. The game's ever changing. I can see it more on the high school level, probably going to the pitcher like they have in college, probably be the next step before it goes into anything with a coach to a batter, but I mean, hey, I don't know. I'm indifferent, but I do like it. It's a plus for sure. It just makes job easier because if you want your catcher to kind of slow it down or you're seeing things, you could, pipe in code numbers or whatever you do, outside those pitches, it helps a lot. And so, I mean, anything that kind of helps that communication kind of gets away from hand signals and touches and numbers and all that kind of stuff. It kind of makes that more of that. I don't know. I mean, in a way, we're trying to be deceptive, not trying to, cheat or anything, but it's just in a way, it's a chess game, right? That's why we like it. You don't know your opponent's next move, and if you can not show your moves all the time, and it makes it a little bit more enticing and fun to watch. So that's my take on it. Eric, what do you got?
I'm so new to it. I don't know. I could see it evolving to that someday. We'll see. Seems like it took them a while to get used to it, and I don't know. I don't really have a good answer for this one other than I can see it happening someday, but I think we were fortunate enough that they just did it now to what we do have, to be honest with you, for high school level. But Bingham, Derek, do you guys have it?
We have not used it. I considered it. I haven't really done a whole lot of research into it quite yet. It's interesting. It's a concept that I think is worth looking into for sure. And sounds like it's been used to success. I'd be curious, Eric, to see how it goes for you this year. Remind me. So it's catcher. It's coach to catcher, correct?
Yeah.
And it's one way.
Mm-hmm.
One way. Okay.
Yep. So
I just gonna have to put electric fence up to keep Jason out of my dugout to hear me what I'm saying.
Well, that's the thing. You pick up his signal, you just got all his calls coming in.
Get on the same frequency. You never know. It's funny because the biggest challenge I have, like Kelly, it's funny you mentioned the whole running the game from the dugout while you're coaching or while coaching third base. Like the one thing I would love to have is some sort of like communication with my assistant coach when I'm coaching third and when I want to sub.
Dude.
That's the hardest thing for us to communicate. Like we've had to come up with hand signals, and even those don't work. It's like I'm trying to yell across the diamond. He's like throwing his hands up, like I have no idea what you want me to do. So that would be great if I could just pop the walkie-talkie on and get it into his ear and be like, "Hey, 34 for 17, please." Right.
Right. When you're trying to signal and they're like, I don't know, and you finally just blow up. Number 12.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I really try my best to not like call a kid back from the on deck circle if I can avoid it. Like, it's happened sometimes, but like it's a high school game. Like you kind of like to give the kids a little bit of a lead time situation. Like, hey, I don't want to embarrass you in front of all the rest of your teammates and by pulling you back, right? And we have a conversation that we're trying to be as proactive as possible. But man, if I know ahead of time I'm going to do something, I'd like the kids to have kind of some forewarning. And sometimes it's even as much as like, hey, if this kid gets on, you're going to hit. Otherwise, this other kid's going to hit, right? But at least having that communication ahead of time. But like the number of times I try to get a pinch runner in, and it's like trying to get it over there. It'd be great to have some sort of communication on that front.
Right there. 22.
Oh,
So Milby said they use the game day signals for their communication. I think we went with Qubit. It's a lot cheaper than the CoachCom one.
Yeah, Jason, which one do you have?
we have CoachCom.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. It was really nice. So
There was some spillover into the summer last year with that, Kelly. We had some teams ask,
Oh,
like when we were running some tournaments, like that there was one system I saw, like a team wanted to use it at one of the indoors last year. It was a full team communication. Like everybody had
wristband.
the wristbands, and it would pop
Yeah.
up like a number or something on the.
Yep.
You know, so the kids were all wearing watches and stuff. Yeah.
It's like a $5,000 purchase. So good on that
Yeah.
program for fundraising or
Yeah,
parent
no
raising.
kidding.
I don't know.
Yes.
Oh my God.
oh man.
Okay, do we have them? Do we have them in? I hate to look down here, but do we have them in our tournaments? Is there rules against it?
There are not. It wasn't specifically called out. We decided to let it go last year. I don't know if we.
Yeah.
I think we added a line that says something about like electronic communication is okay. But it was
Sure.
interesting, like the fact that it was a 10-year-old team wanting the wristbands for all the kids, right?
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Huh.
We got another
Get
one.
Minga up there.
Well, let's go.
What qualities do you guys like to see in umpires? Is there something you see and know immediately it's going to be a bad day? And certain qualities you see and respect? Yes. I'll let you guys go first.
I think it all starts at the handshake, right? You
Yeah.
know, you can always tell if the umpire's blood sugar is low or high. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's just kind of how it goes. You know, are they going to roll with the chest pounded out and kind of lay the rules of the land, and that's it, short and sweet. You know, so I mean, that's usually I like the guys that are pretty flexible, who say, hey, you know, we understand it's a game, and you're going to have some doubts of our calls, but you know, just come talk to us. We're cool. We're not going to just don't shout and curse me out. You know, I mean, if you start dropping F-bombs, then yeah, we're going to have to do something. But, you know, I don't have a problem you calling time in the middle of a situation and just want to talk it out. Let's do it. You know, the guys that are kind of, oh yeah, you know, the short and sweets, and the guys that just, Eric knows this one, but, you know, the guys that just, you know, it's all about them. And yeah, it's going to be make it for a long day. And, you sure hope you can get out of there quick in a 10-run game, you know, and get home, get on the bus and get out of there, not have to come back. So that's where I'm at.
Do you guys tend to see the same guys a lot in your leagues?
Yeah, we do.
Here and there.
And
You know,
yeah,
the
we
ones
have
that are good.
same. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's probably what you see there. I mean, the good ones and the bad ones. And you're like, oh, man, it's going to be an interesting day, you know, especially when he's the guy behind the dish. You know, and then you get some of those guys who are like, oh, yeah, okay. You know, I mean, we got guys that we know, like, hey, we're going to pound the outside corner today, and we're going to do well. And then we get certain guys who are like, no, there's not going to be a single call on the block today. Everything's middle. So we're just got to roll with it and hope for the best. So, yeah.
What about you, Derek?
So similar. I would say the guys that come in, professionalism, I think, is number one. Like if somebody's there officiating the game with professionalism, like to me, you know, then I know that we can have cordial disagreements and communicate about things. And so I think that's number one. And you mentioned it starts with the handshake, and I would agree. And as you start to get repeat umpires like at your games consistently, you kind of start to learn who the ones are before they even step on the field, right? Like, hey, these are the people that I can have a little bit of rope with when it comes to talking about some stuff, and these are the umpires that I'm not going to be able to talk to at all. I think the other thing that I appreciate is when they are willing to ask for help, even if they know they're right. Just it's kind of like when your team's fired up about a call and you think the umpire got it right, but you still might go out there just because your team wants you to have their back and have a conversation similar to the umpire, right? Like he might know he got it right, but if I come to you asking for help, somebody else has a better angle. The guys that are like, no, I'm not going to do that. Like that kind of rubs me the wrong way because the whole goal here is to get the call correct, right? And even if you are 95% right, maybe there's something that the other guy saw that might change your mind, or maybe there's something that but that collaboration between the umpires, I think, also works well with the coaches. It's like, hey, I went and asked, I didn't see anything. I'm a lot more willing to accept that when they come back versus like the guy that's like, well, I'm not gonna change my call, so I'm not gonna waste my time going and talking to somebody, right? So I think, and a lot of that is just how they carry themselves, Dustin. It's just like, do they carry themselves with confidence too? I think that helps, right? 9 times out of 10, if a guy makes a call with conviction, you're more likely to believe he knows what he saw versus the guy that's kind of in between, right? And doubting himself. So I think that's professionalism, and then just check the ego in the parking lot, like, right? I mean, same thing with us as coaches, though, too, right? Like I don't want. It's not fair for me to ask for the umpires to check their ego if I'm going to come in with a big one, right? Like let's just be adults on the field and get the call right and understand there's going to be disagreements, but like how do we handle those? I think.
Absolutely.
Kelly,
Uh,
the guy that gets thrown out a lot.
I don't think it's. I don't think it's wrong. I think everything you said is right, and I think it's applicable at every level. I mean, whether it's Angel Hernandez at the MLB level or the guy down the street that you guys have had problems with in the past, I don't think it changes from level to level. Yeah, I think it's a mutual respect for sure. And like there's guys that I'm really tight with, right? And I can ride them, or I can ask certain things that you're going to get an answer to. They're going to know that, you're thinking they're doing a bad job or whatever, or you're missing stuff here and there. And they're the same umpires that you'll see at the local watering hole, and talk about the missed calls that he made, and he can talk about the stupid decisions you made as a coach. Like, I think that there's like a feel of baseball for it too. The guys I always had problems with were the ones that came in, to fill in at the college level. Like they're missing a spot, so they flew in a guy from California who does West Coast Conference games, and that guy doesn't want to be there, and he thinks he's too big for it, and so he's going to do things that aren't. So I'm not sure if you guys see that too, the people that get maybe called down or you don't usually see. Like, I'd rather have the guy I regularly see than the guy that I don't, because I know how to act around them to be in the best interest of my team, right? Know the things to do and not to do. It's the guys that you haven't seen before that's just kind of a wild card, and you don't know where it's going to go. Calling things that aren't usually called in your league, points of emphasis that no one really worries about or ponders about, like just getting deep in the rule book for things without warnings and that stuff. But for me, I just liked an umpire I can carry a conversation with and ask what they saw, and if it's a banger, a close call, like there's really no win in those. And I think players need to understand that too, is that the bang bang plays at first base, like you can argue and be upset and mad but at the end of the day, like those are 50-50 calls, and they're going to make mistakes. They're going to get some right, they're going to get some wrong, and that's not one to battle with. Like rule interpretations, like those are the times to really go to work and try to see if there's another umpire that didn't have it. But NCAA made a point of emphasis, I think it was about 3, 4, maybe 5 years ago, I think they called it get the call right. So they said anytime like a coach asked for it, like the umpires were told to, I don't know if it was mandated or whatnot. If a coach asked to ask for a different opinion, like they did it. They automatically did it. So at least you know that there's a conversation had at that point in time. And sometimes it helped you, sometimes it hurt you. But you knew if like there was something, pulled a foot at first base or something like that could have been seen from a different angle, you at least have a shot at it going out and arguing those things. But I think in general, like the umpires that I've been around have been really solid and want to be better at their craft. Everyone's trying to get to the next level, right? They're trying to move on. And hopefully, at all levels that everyone's taking it seriously and want to be great at what they do, whether you're a coach or an umpire, just trying to get better and be the best that you possibly can without having any type of, like we said, egos going into it.
Yeah, you guys said all of it. That's a big one. The umpire meeting, when you get to talk to him for the first time, you kind of know the thing. But I just keep going back to the saying that I wrote down. Listen to everybody talk, and it doubles for opposing coaches as well, not just umpires. I don't want to just be bashing umpires or whatever, especially if you umpire our games. I hope you're listening to me right now. I'm not bashing you. But guys that love baseball versus guys that love themselves. And you can pick that up real fast. And especially when the game might be moving on throughout the day. And just guys that are there because they love the game. They're trying to do a job that respect the game and to be there for the kids to make sure they do the rings the right way. Because it is a working relationship. And I do appreciate a guy that I can go out there and talk to and ask him for help. Guy, like, I think the first baseman pulled his foot. Can you ask the home plate umpire for help? Yeah, sure, great. Or no, if they just tell me no, then they're going to set me off a little bit, or set everybody off. Really, any coach. But I think that's what it comes down to. Because if you love the game, you're gonna respect the game, and people that respect the game, who they are. It's pretty evident with the personalities that we run into each and every day. Then you have fun moments, apparently, where Tim Lee was at a meeting, 18U League Championship game, and the first thing the third base umpire said was, "I ejected you 6 years ago." That's going to be keep my mouth shut today. Yeah, I feel you.
Wow.
But,
talk about holding things deep down.
Right.
Wow. Oh, man. That's good.
But anyway. Man, we got 284 listeners on here tonight. That's awesome, especially for something that's thrown together so last minute.
Go to bed.
Kelly's cat's going. I'm ready. Yeah, I'm ready to go. Let's get this thing to wrap this up. I'm still just baffled by Kelly's cat there.
Oh, it could be worse. Could be staring you down like it did the other day in a meeting. Kelly can tell you guys all about that.
100%. Just locked in. Easy off.
That was giving me the death stare for sure.
We were getting ready to go to the Apple Cup. It was the Apple Cup when Delora was playing quarterback for the Cougs. And I was standing in Kelly's kitchen. We're just getting ready to walk out the door. And that damn cat jumped from ninja starred me from behind. Right on my, it scared the crap. Yeah, you, cat. That's you. We've been buddies ever since.
He shows your back in.
Yeah, that's what he thinks about
What
that.
do you think about that?
But
Oh, man.
we can wrap this thing up. I did promise on the Twitter some giveaways here. And we're gonna, what I got? Got a new Fungo Banter hat. And a Pacific Northwest Fungo Banter shirt. We picked through the chat, and we're gonna give that the first one to Tim Lee. So we'll reach out, Coach, and get that sent to you. Mm-hmm. And then the other one I love this conversation. I really appreciate this question because it's hopefully there's out of our however many people we have on the chat tonight that it helped somebody. But I'm gonna give it. Where's it? Get one more shirt and one more hat. Here to Ryan Arredondo. I probably just said your name wrong. Apologize. I thoroughly loved your question tonight with
Wildcat alum Adondo.
I did see. I wasn't playing favorites. I didn't know that till just now. Right.
World traveler Ryan Arredondo.
That's right. So
Story for another day, another podcast.
that's right. Roll Cats, baby. That's right. Well, I look forward to playing with him at the alumni game this fall, if I can get there. It'll be fun. Coach Bingham, thank you so much for clicking the link tonight.
You bet. Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on. I was just getting some work done, and Kelly sends me a text. I'm like, why not?
Thanks, man.
Yeah, you bet. Anytime, guys. Appreciate the time. Appreciate the conversation.
Yep, we'll see you.
Absolutely. That was a fun one. We'll see everybody later next week. We had a fun one. Should we tease who's coming on next week? Kelly, or should we wait till we get recorded?
You can.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the cat think?
Two ways. We're gonna have an infield guy. He might be a coordinator for a Major League Baseball organization.
Could be. Return visit.
He might be a return visitor. If you can message us on our socials who that is, you might win a hat. We'll see. I will donate Jason for a day to come rake your pictures down. All right. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week. Appreciate everybody listening out there, the 291 listeners we got. Hopefully, if you guys enjoy these live ones, let us know. And we'll be back next week.